and they want to innovate, but they don't want to fail, right? And it's difficult, and it takes really strong designers to actually be in transformations. So you have to be a design transformer. So one of the things that Elon Musk mentions quite heavily in the documentary is failure. So every time they failed shooting a rocket up into space, it was his own money that he was actually putting into this. And every time, I think it was like 500 million, every time they sent a rocket, and they were running out of budget. And the interviewer goes, well, you're almost out of money, you've got one rocket left, is it really worth it? And he goes, well, every failure we do, we learn how to do it better the next time. And funny enough, the last rocket that went up into space and landed correctly, unmanned as well, ended up actually making SpaceX what it is today.
Is that, like when you're doing discovery right, I think one of the key elements that it helps you achieve is it helps you become an empowered team. And that's really crucial because, an empowered team can actually go back and tell their boss or tell their leaders that, these are the 3 things that we want to focus in this quarter, and this is why. And as long as you won't be able to do that, there will always be roadmaps given to you or stakeholders driving your roadmaps.
On something that is actually really, really important, because you both talked about speaking the language of the business, right? Because and I think one thing about being a leader is you realize that 90% of your job is being a therapist to your team, because they come and cry to you about how, why don't you listen to me? Why don't they understand me? Why don't they feel me? And so much of my conversation to them was, they don't need to understand you. You need to speak their language, and you need to empathize and understand them, right? Especially with business stakeholders, they don't have the time to speak your language. So I'm curious, for both of you, in your roles as leaders, how did you actually teach your teams to speak the language of the business? And how did you also empower them to take ownership of that?